order. We'll start with roll call. Everybody is present. Next, we'll move to adopt the agenda as presented. Any changes?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor? Passes 7-0. We have any public comments?
No.
Do we have to sign up in advance?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda. We have the March 2nd and 30th board meeting minutes, the cash summary report, check journal, activity account balance. Any questions on any of those? All right, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. We'll go to the 6th item, the 2025-2026 budget republication.
And I had written about that in Friday notes. Don't know if you guys had any additional questions. It's just our opportunity to source out the remainder of our at-risk expenditures so that we don't have to spend general fund to finish that out. So we published that back in February.
I move to approve the at-risk budget that was republished in the newspaper on February 26th, 2026.
I'll second. All in favor? 7-0. All right. Old business. Anything new with the Emmanuel Lutheran Church parking lot?
I don't think there's anything new. I think I previously gave you some information, a follow-up from last month that as far as the request for proposal on the district side, we can't do that to fix up somebody else's property. We can certainly share in the expense, but they'll have to be the ones that go through that process. So I have reached out to Dan Riedel about that and stayed in communication. He's going to work on getting at least one estimate. They are not held to the same standard as us. Yep. They only have to get one. And he'll have that get it broken out. So it's just a parking lot in lieu of the sidewalks. And in the meantime, I will probably start drafting some sort of usage agreement for moving forward and maybe meet with them so we can start going through that and kind of come up with some agreed upon plan and then bring that back to you at some point for approval.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions about that?
Nope. No, thank you for continuing to work with them through the process.
Absolutely. Yep. Next is the facility use agreement.
Every spring we have to renew the, not this, sorry, that's the next one. Facility use. We talked about this last month. So there are two options on there, option 1 and option 2. That's just the local agreement. It's not the one that deals with the activity center. That might be something we consider down the road, but I need to have some communication with Chris Kinman. But as per the request, I did go through and put together our agreement that's just proposes some cost to it, so it wasn't left open-ended, which is what it's been in the past, and just kind of up to the superintendent to decide. And I was hoping we'd have something with a little more guidance than that. There are two options on there. The first one reflects the exact same pricing structure that's on the activity center one, and the other one would reflect an increase in prices simply because nothing has changed for quite some time. I also did provide you guys some information there. Either option would be fine. We don't rent out the facilities to non-staff very often, so it's not like we're going to make money off of it regardless. So just having something in place would be helpful for our office. So
the only question I had is both of these options have a $100 deposit for $25 per hour. So if somebody's only using the facility for 1 or 2 hours, they would still have to pay twice that amount in the deposit?
Well, it's a deposit that's refundable.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah. And maybe waived or modified at the discretion of the superintendent. So, yeah. That was my only note.
You guys have a preference? Option 1 or option 2?
I'm fine with the increase in the price too, because everything is going up and it's costing us money.
I agree with the increase. The $25 an hour.
Yeah, no concerns.
And if you guys remember last time, the vast majority of people who use our facilities don't get charged anyway.
And that's option 2, right? With
Yeah.
the increase. Okay. I move to approve the facility use agreement, option 2.
Second. All in favor? 7-0. All right, new business, the non-resident student application updates.
Okay, so this is what we do every spring. So when you do this every year, it just changes basically your non-resident student application. The only thing that was changed on that was dates to represent this next current school year. And then your practice or policy that establishes our limits within each classroom. And so that is also on there for your approval, and that has some historical information in terms of enrollment, but it also has our projected enrollment for next year and the number of open seats per grade. The number of open seats per grade are typically, they're based on the smaller the class. We have a few more spots available. The bigger the class, we have fewer spots available. So this was something I went in and updated. I did send this out to the principals to look at so they could give me some feedback before we brought it to you, but it is something we have to have done and get ready to go next month.
Did the legislature play around with this policy? Because I know this was a new policy that we had to implement not here that long ago. Did they make any changes to that this session?
I have not heard any discussion about this policy.
Perfect. And no problems with any of our buildings? Perfect.
All right, I move to approve the KASB legal assistance. Nope, I'm on the wrong one, sorry. I move to approve the non-resident application and enrollment projections.
I'll second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right, now we'll go to the KASB legal assistance fund.
Okay, so legal assistance fund, as you guys know, we do hire actually 2 sets of attorneys. The attorneys at KASB, we reference them quite frequently throughout the year for school matters, and then we also have a local attorney as well. This is just our annual renewal of our agreement with them. I would highly recommend we continue to use them. So it's just a matter of if we're going to do it for another year, you guys make that approval and Jesse gets to sign the document and we'll be good for another year.
We need to do them separately.
The legal assistance fund, yeah, and then we'll do the annual membership next.
All right, I move to approve the KASB legal assistance fund contract in the amount of $3,100.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. And then the KASB annual membership, move to approve the KASB annual membership option 1 in the amount of $9,848.62.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right, the 4th and 5th Chromebook usage.
And I think Chris is I provide you a little information, but she's gonna talk about it a little bit too, so.
Many of you know we trialed sending 4th and 5th grade Chromebooks home for the past couple of years. We tried it and we're just not seeing the academic impact that we'd like for them to go home. We've got our after school help program going pretty well, that students can stay and make up stuff if they need to. So we really don't see the need to send them home anymore. It will help us lessen our Chromebook fee and less technology time on school devices at home. So talked with all the teachers and they're in favor of it. Can I answer any questions or anything?
Is there a plan for like if the kids out for a long period of time? Are they able to check one out to do work outside of school, or what does that look like?
Most of the teachers stay after school to help kids get caught up, or we do have a group that stays in the library. Anything beyond that, if they're really, really far behind, then we'll come up with a different plan. They'll probably check them out or something like that. We kind of had a modified version of that in the past, most kids just stayed and finished it in an hour. By the time they hit 4 o'clock anyways, they're about done.
Right.
I don't blame them. So.
I know took the change that all Chromebooks at fourth and fifth grade level will no longer be taken home by the students.
Second. All in favor? 7-0.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Question on that, Chris, will that be for next year or is that starting immediately?
Next year.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you.
All right, next is grant bank request.
Yep, there should be a list on there included of the teachers who applied for the grant bank and the amounts that total up to what you guys approve annually.
We can approve them all together, right?
Yeah, just the grant bank request as presented.
All right, I approve the summer grant bank applications as presented.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right, the ESDEC student
Agency.
agency agreement, thank you.
Joel, I mean, you want to just talk a little bit about, this is the student one they're doing first. Okay. And then answer any questions they might have, just tell a little bit about what the purpose is and what our connections are.
We've been sending students over to the academy for several years. The Great Bend Academy is an online facility where they have adult help there. So we've sent several kids over there over the years. All of them graduate, most of them graduate early. And I would say that most, if not all, those kids that we send over there will probably not graduate, at least graduate on time with us. So it's been a benefit for those kids as far as that goes. We do have to pay ASDAC the full FTE funding for each kid that we send over there. And that's the way it's always been. So this is the first time I've actually seen a written up agreement, especially on a 3-year. Really everything in there is what we've been doing with the exception of if we do send a kid over there after September 20, after the count date, they would charge us per diem, I think, per quarter. Lately, if they've been taking kids, especially second semester, they haven't been charging us at all. So that's one difference there. And another difference would be however many students we have over there at the beginning of the year, that's how many seats we have for the remainder of that school year. So if we have a kid graduate early, and then we send another kid over there, that kid would just take that spot, and we wouldn't be charged for that. So the additional per diem charging would be above the seats that we start out the school year with, or September 20 with. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then I think the other, what was written in there that they haven't done before either is if we get a student new to us after the September 20 count date, and that student is a candidate for the facility over there, if they have an opening, they would take that kid but not charge us because we didn't get funding for that kid either. So that's essentially what that contract says. I don't think we're tied financially to anything. It's still the same practice we've been doing where we just reimburse them the FTE funding. And I think this year we had 7 kids graduate from there. So we could start out next year with just 2 kids over there. So
and that would be our only
it's beneficial.
Seat. Yeah, that would be our only seats though for the whole year if we start
depending, I think so, yeah, I mean, if we have a few other candidates go over there, then that's what our capacity would be. Yeah. So that's the student. Any questions or concerns on that?
All right, I move to approve the ASDEC student interagency agreement.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. All right. And tell us about the adult one.
Yeah, the adult. So this is new. In the past, we have been asked to basically to sponsor an adult, someone over 21 years old, in another town, and we've been declining that over the years just because they weren't our student. But so again, if they're over 21, if we sponsor them, that will not affect our graduation rate whatsoever. So if that person does start the online program with SDAC and we sponsor them, basically all we're saying is we're going to sponsor them and they have to suffice our graduation requirements, but we don't get charged anything. That person's not going to go on our graduation rate or dropout rate. Basically, it's SDAC's way of trying to get more adults in. What they did was they shut down, I think, 3 centers around the state that had just adult learning due to funding issues. So now with the adults, they're going to put them just strictly online, but they need high schools out there to sponsor them. So I think this, I can't remember the exact number. It should be in that agreement. The state would pay SDAC 700 and something per credit hour earned, I believe, or 600 and something. SDAC would reimburse us $100 per credit hour that one of our sponsored adults would complete, and that's basically just paying us for the paperwork and the processing of that person's diploma. So FTE funding is not a factor here. We don't owe SDAC anything at all. They're going to get reimbursed from the state through the Over 21 program to get adults to complete credits. They just need a high school to sponsor them. And I don't think in there it says we have to sponsor anybody. I think we can still use our own discretion on that, but essentially that's what that agreement states.
Any questions? All right, I'll move to approve the SDAC Adult Interagency Agreement.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, next is reports, legislative report.
Okay, got a few quick things to talk about on legislative report there. At the moment, currently they adjourned a short while ago, and they're coming back into their veto session. Will begin on the 9th, which is later this week. The three items, I guess I'll just give a quick update on, because over that time, of course, we had spring break, and it's not that they aren't working on stuff, but they've moved it to the other chamber, and they're still working on it. I'm going to have a lot more to present next month, just because they went into their adjournment. But the budget bill, they are working on that. It looks like they're ready to send that on, and essentially that's where they decide, one, if they're going to fund schools at the CPI, which they don't have a choice by law, they have to, so they've said that they're going to. That's where they can make a decision on what they want to put into special education funding. One chamber was recommending 10 million, the other one, I think 5 or 6, but they settled on 6 million additional to special education funding, which statewide is nothing. It's not much. It won't have a significant impact on us or any other school for that matter. One thing they were talking about doing away with is the mental health initiative, but they did bring that back and added it into the budget bill, allocating $10 million towards that, which there's several things that go into it, but ultimately helps connect schools to some local providers if they're needing that. So there's some funding available there. They've done a safe and secure schools matching grant in the past, and then it went away, and now they're going to allocate $2.5 million for that again statewide for schools who would like to utilize those funds. I don't know if they have here. I've utilized those in the past. So it is, some funds they're bringing back and making optional as well. And then the mentor program, that had went away. It's coming back. They're going to allocate up to $1.3 million to help pay for mentors. We have to provide mentors for all of our new teachers. So it's a benefit if we qualify. There's some factors it takes to qualify, and not everybody gets it. There's only 1.3 million to go around state, but it's better than when it went away and we didn't have anything. So they are putting some money back into that. And then the other thing about the budget bill, they were talking about, and I know I previously talked about state assessments, and the cut scores changed on the state assessments. Last year was the first year with new cut scores, and they were talking about that in another bill, and they circled around and put that into the budget bill. That's going to indicate that we're not going to be able to use those new cut scores. We'll have to go back to the old cut scores. So there's still concerns from KSD and KSB about that, because the new tests were written for new cut scores, not the old cut scores. So we'll have to figure out how that's going to work, but it sounds like that's going to be lumped into the budget bill and probably will get passed. So something we'll just have to figure out. Any questions on the budget bill? No? The other one, the next one, I Senate Bill 387, which just has moved on into the House, and I have updated you guys a little bit on this. This is one that I've been concerned about, the potential cuts to at-risk funding. Not certain where they're at. I know they're talking about it in, I believe, House Bill 2402. But one of the things was that they were wanting to have schools verify 100% of the free and reduced applications. And the concern there is that some families may not want to fill it out then, or if they're not accurate, it's going to impact funding for schools. I'm sure they have dealt with some concerns expressed about meals being taken away from some students who don't qualify, that maybe were getting meals. So there's a program out there called Community Eligibility Program that they're discussing and trying to work into this bill, probably specifically for that would indicate schools may, if they qualify, and I believe we might, would allow all students to qualify for a breakfast and a lunch. That still doesn't take away my concern about at-risk funding, but that will, if they're fielding concerns expressed about students losing meals, I think that's the way they're trying to get around that, to say, well, you can participate in this, and that'll help alleviate some of those loss for meals. But I'm still trying to keep an eye on it because I'm still concerned about our at-risk funding and what impact that might have on us. So I'm sure I'll have more information between now and our next meeting. Questions on that? Okay. And the last one, Senate substitute for House Bill 2299, cell phone ban bill. Are you guys all seniors? We'll get back in. That did pass. It's all the way through the governor. That's going to come to fruition. My understanding is September 1st, but that means we'll have to do something by the first day of school because we're not going to wait till September 1st. We're going to have to come up with a plan. We have yet to receive any true guidance from KSB or KSDE because they're still in session. It's still pretty early. KSB will eventually give us what their understanding is of the law to try to help guide schools. But my understanding, it's a bell-to-bell prohibiting the use or access to. They cannot have access to a cell phone on school premises from bell to bell. Certain medical exceptions can override that. IEPs, 504s, they have that written into the law, and I did include that on there if you want to read through all 7 pages of it. But again, I can read what it says, but KSB's attorneys will give us their clarification of what they believe is in the bill. It also indicates prohibits staff from communicating with students through social media platforms. So what I read in there and my understanding there is if that social media platform allows two-way communication, we won't be able to use it. It's only a one-way messaging system. So, and many of our coaches use things like that, whether it be Remind 101 or the Band app or something else that's probably out there. But having used those before, there's two-way communication in that. So probably something that's going to have a limitation placed on it as well. But again, it's new. We know it's coming. We will get feedback before, definitely probably by June, I would guess, we will be getting information so we can start putting together our plan.
Will that also, because we use Google Classroom, will that also involve email? Because I know there's coaches and teachers that send emails back and forth, and that's technically two-way.
I don't know. I haven't been given that clarification. I would tell you, my guess would be no on that particular regard because that's a classroom tool, but I could be wrong. I will find out what the guidance is once KSB and KSD start giving guidance to us in that regard. I didn't read anything in there specifically that would tell me exactly how they're going to handle if they're leaving school and going to an activity. I don't know yet. I mean, when I read the word premises, that doesn't sound like a premises to me if they're heading to a school activity. But I'm sure that question will come up and they will give us feedback on that too.
Yeah, there's some confusing language in here.
That kind of
Authorize students to not bring personal devices by leaving a device in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, Okay.
That's why they'll clarify for us.
Early on, we had talked about how some of the lockdown procedures were going to be prohibitively expensive to implement. Is that still something that is under consideration? Like
To lock their
the
phones down?
requirements to secure and lock the phones?
They should be paying for that.
We will have to see what they tell us what we're required to do. The way I read that in there is I think it's supposed to be inaccessible to students, which means that can't be in their locker, which now means that shifts the burden over to the school. I'm just gonna have to see what they tell us. What's that look like? I mean, like I had indicated at my previous school, we used some pouches, yonder pouches, and there was some expense to it. We're a smaller school. We spent a little over $6,000 on those. And I'm not indicating that's the direction we should go. We need to really truly know what's the expectation, what can this lockdown look like, what's the school's exposure to liability. I mean, I previously heard that there was going to be no liability to the school for any damage caused by the phone being stored by the school, but it's just all things I'm going to have to get feedback on.
Yeah, this doesn't have anything on busing either, does it?
No, I thought there was something like going to an activity, but it was
But not regular
unclear.
busing.
Yes.
So, because a lot of us that have kids on long bus routes will.
Well, see, I don't think on a bus route because that's before and after the bell.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we're talking about buses, if they leave for tennis at 2 o'clock, well, that's during bell time. But before the bell and after the bell, the way I understand the law is that wouldn't apply.
But they would have it on them.
They would have it with them. Yeah.
They
So.
couldn't leave it anywhere.
All right, any other questions? All right, what kind of principles?
Oh, I do have one other one just to watch out for in here is that it says it does have a thing on here on wireless headphones or earbuds, which I know a lot of our kids use in the classroom.
Oh yeah, it would include, and on the notes I gave you, it's anything. I mean, a tablet, a computer, headphones, earbuds, any other text messaging device, any other personal assistant, anything a student could communicate with, they would not be able to have.
So we would have to provide headphones for kids to use in the classroom?
If the curriculum requires they have headphones.
Or we would just put wired headphones on the list.
Well, all my kids all use wireless headphones, so. Because it's on our school supply list, so.
Those would probably have to come off of the school supply list.
And it might be an additional expense we have to incur. So, okay.
All right, the principal's report.
I don't think any of them report unless one of you has something you want to talk about.
Nobody?
That's what I thought.
All right. Oh, I did. Superintendent report. I'm all over the place today, aren't I?
And I did not have anything in addition to legislative report.
Okay. The district attorney, so Chase Pumford, an attorney with KSB, plans to join us in executive session. I move to go into executive session for
Probably 15.
15 minutes to discuss legal issues with our legal counsel and Trent under the exemption for matters which would be deemed privilege in the attorney-client relationship of KOMA. Plan to open with the resume back in the boardroom at 7:45. All in favor? Passes 7-0.
Can they go, or do you want them to stay for your?
Do what?
Can they go?
They.
The students.
Oh.
Into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel under KOMA expectations for purpose of discussing nominations, resignations with Mr. Horn and other individuals as called upon if needed, Joel Mason or Greg Fletchall.
Are you moving?
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving
How
that.
many minutes?
So,
20 minutes.
stick around.
How many minutes do we want to go in for?
Oh, I'd say probably better 15.
15?
I second it.
I think that's enough.
20.
Let's do 20.
Got me 30.
Do an hour.
Trish, you don't wanna come back?
I second it.
All in favor? 7-0.
So we're coming back at 12.
Yep. 8-12.
Sorry.
All right, we'll come out of executive session with the following resignations. I move to approve the resignations of Ann Selfridge as the middle school robotics coach, Kyle Haxton as the assistant high school football coach, Wyatt Pettigo as assistant middle school football coach, and Trina Luters as head high school girls basketball coach.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. And the nominations, I move to approve the nomination of Drew Reisner as the summer technology assistant, Kyle Haxton as the middle school assistant football coach, and Wyatt Pettigo as the high school assistant football coach.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? 7-0.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Yeah. You told us about that.
I just
How much?